You're listening to the Quint's podcast.
We're back with the Aussie Challenge podcast, and it's the Boxing Day test now. Tim Paine won the toss and elected to bat first at the MCG, but it's been India's bowlers who made the day their own, bowling out the Aussies on 195. India are 36 for 1 at Stumps. My guest Ayaz Memon is with us. Ayaz, Ashwin's 3 wickets, Siraj 2 wickets on his debut day, or Shubman Gill, staying unbeaten on debut before Stumps. Lots of positives for India on the day.
Absolutely. I think it's been a marvellous day for India, considering what happened in Adelaide. There were so many apprehensions whether this team could recover psychologically so swiftly from that very damaging blow. But I thought that, the body language was strong. India had lost the toss. Australia would have been hoping to finish the day at least without being bowled out and maybe about 260, 270 runs. But it wasn't to be because, the bowlers were absolutely marvellous. And I thought Jasprit Bumrah and Ravi Ashwin were obviously the best of the lot, but they're also very seasoned. The most promising performances came from the debutants, Mohammad Siraj and Shubman Gill. They showed strong nerves, they showed a lot of good skills, and they've shown that they're probably here for the long haul. It's premature to say that, but they've started off extremely well.
I'm Menra Dorji.
And I'm Ayaz Memon.
And you're listening to the Aussie Challenge podcast on the Quint, powered by Farm Easy and MediBuddy.
Okay, I'm going to quickly take you through the scores. India made 4 changes with 2 debut caps to Shubman Gill and Mohammad Siraj. Jadeja and Pant are also playing the match with Virat and Shami back home in India, and Saha and Prithvi losing their spots. Now the day, Jasprit Bumrah started the Indian party in the 5th over. Joe Burns, again out of form, but again out on a duck. Ravi Ashwin then was given the ball early after the 10th over, and he delivered. Matthew Wade and also Steve Smith's wicket. Steve Smith out on a duck, in fact. By the end of the second session, Australia were 136 for 5, with Siraj picking his maiden test wicket. Manas Labuschagne out on 48. He was also Australia's highest scorer of the day. Bumrah finished with 4 for 56, Ashwin 3 for 35, Siraj 2 for 40, and Jadeja 1 for 15. Umesh Yadav was wicketless as Australia were bowled out for 195. Mayank Agarwal was the one Indian wicket to fall before Stumps, out to Stark on a duck, and Shubman remained unbeaten on 28, batting with Pujara. I had lots of talk around Ashwin in the days before the match about the opportunities he lost, because he probably spoke out a lot when probably he wasn't supposed to, or they thought he wasn't supposed to. But he's shown that given the chance, he's indeed the kind of bowler a captain would want in his arsenal. Introduced in the 11th over and gets 2 big wickets, including Steve Smith.
Absolutely. In fact, he has Steve Smith's number in this series. He's got him out in the Adelaide Test match also. And, without Warner, and if Smith doesn't contribute heavily, then the Australian batting is actually looking quite mediocre and flaky, if you ask me. So, I thought Rahane, showed very astute tactics in getting him on very early in the match, 11th over, as you mentioned. And, to pick up 2 wickets in the first session of a test match at Melbourne for the spinner is a rarity. And I think what Ashwin is, he's reveling in the challenge now. He's had his, he's a little outspoken, so sometimes doesn't go down well with, critics or fellow players or whatever else. But he's out to prove a point, because one of the things that has been always kind of held against him is his record overseas, and now he's shown in the first match at Adelaide and here in the first innings that, he is capable of getting wickets everywhere, even including on a first day pitch at the MCG.
Okay, another big change actually is that we have a new captain in this series at least. Virat Kohli is back home in India. Ajinkya Rahane is captain. He's sort of called a spinner's captain. We saw that when he chose to play Jadeja along with Ashwin. It helps bowlers like Ashwin, it helps when bowlers like Ashwin pay back the faith he showed introducing him so early. Also, we were sort of surprised that he played Jadeja, the all-rounder, instead of, going with another batsman, KL Rahul.
Well, I think the tactic of the team has been to be, by and large, go with, 5 bowlers. I think in the first test match, Jadeja was injured, so he couldn't be selected. I think that's been the tactic of the team for the last maybe 2.5, 3, 4 years. That you go in with 5 bowlers because then your chances of winning matches are greater. Now, obviously, sometimes that becomes a handicap when your batting fails because then you're 1 batsman short. But in this case, Jadeja has been in a very rich vein of form with the bat. So hopefully he'll contribute with the bat too. KL Rahul, in my opinion, he should have played the first test, so that doesn't change. He should have played in the second test, but now the issue was who does he play in place of? And it's going to get even tougher for the tour selection committee once Rohit Sharma is available in the next match. So do they take him? But that's for the future, because he's not had any match practice. Or do they take Rahul, who's been sitting out since the white ball series was over? So for the moment, of course, I think India would want to just kind of capitalize on this fine start provided by the bowlers, get not just a lead, but a very handy lead, because what we saw in the first test match, despite a 53-run lead, India lost badly. So now they are in a position that, you get a 100, 150-run lead. That could really turn the screws on the Australians. But that really means that they have to bat out all day tomorrow.
We will talk about the batting tomorrow. Just a few more questions on the bowlers. Mohammad Siraj making his debut today. One of the two debutants gets the prize wicket of Manus Labuschagne. He was on 48, actually, Australia's highest scorer of the day. I mean, he's making sure India aren't missing Shami then, right?
Yes, I think he's filled the gap in very, splendidly. But remember, actually, Siraj, if you've, kind of seen the trajectory of his career, he's bowled extremely well with the red ball in the India A matches that he's played. He's had some very valuable experience of playing in Australia with the India A team. So he's been a consistent performer with the red ball. And I think it was a good selection to get him. He's as what we call in Mumbai, he's an NCU cutlet. He's always wanting to be involved in whatever is happening on the field. He took two very well-judged catches also. These skiers may look easy on a 20-inch screen, television screen or whatever, but they're not so easy when you're at the ground. These were big steepling hits. So he bowled well. I thought his first spell he was a little edgy, a little nervous, but the second spell was absolutely superb. He's got the ability to work up good pace. He's got a surprise bouncer, and he gets the ball to do a little bit off the pitch either way. So, and with the pitch helping a bit, all bowlers, he made the most of it.
Among the four changes India made, which surprised you the most? India dropping Saha, playing Rishabh Pant, not playing KL Rahul. So what do you think is not something you would have approved of?
I think they hedged their bets with Pant coming in instead of Saha. So, not the better wicketkeeper compared to Saha, surely, and we saw in some of his leg side collections, especially against the spinners, a little, shoddy. But if you take Saha, then you need to have another batsman in place. I think they hedged on that and they said, okay, Pant is can deliver more runs or give us more runs, and we'll take that little bit of a risk with his wicket keeping. And that's why I think the Indian batting in this match is actually quite deep, because they've got Ashwin and Jadeja, who are also all-rounders, and there's Pant. So, if you add one more batsman, then either Pant goes out, and that means that Rahul has to keep wickets, or, you have to drop somebody else from the top order.
Okay, before I wrap this podcast up, just one question on Shubman Gill. I know I asked about you about him earlier as well, but 28, he's playing in place of Prithvi Shaw. Lots of talk about that selection before the first game as well, and clearly now making it seem like it was a good choice to make.
Yes, I mean he enjoyed a life. That was a fairly easy catch that Labuschagne put down. But having said that, he built on that. He's built on that opportunity, and he's played quite handsomely. He's got this sweet timing, and he's very appealing, very eye-catching when he plays his strokes. So hopefully he's embarked on what should be, or hopefully everybody will be hoping that it'll be a long and fruitful career in the Indian team.
Okay, thank you, Ayaz. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Mindra. Thank you. Bye-bye.
And thank you all for listening to the Aussie Challenge podcast with Ayaz Memon on the Quint, powered by Farm Easy, India's largest online pharmacy, and MediBuddy.
Thanks for listening. Log on to the Quint's website and check out our other podcasts.